to the official podcast at contentchampion.com. Join our heroic quest to discover truly epic content marketing. Introducing your host, the content champion himself, Loz James.
Hello again, and welcome to the Content Champion podcast. Thanks as ever for listening. On the show this time, we're looking at the white hat link building techniques that will actually work in 2016 with experienced digital marketing consultant Ryan Stewart, owner of digital marketing firm Webris. Ryan specialises in content marketing, performance analytics and organic search, and has worked with blue chip clients such as Target, Accenture and the Department of Defence. So he's perfectly placed to tell us what's working now when it comes to building links that will move the needle. Thanks for coming on, Ryan.
I appreciate having me.
Now, before we deep dive into link building, can you tell us your backstory, please, and how you got started in digital marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing this for a while now, almost 9 years now. I got my start at an undergraduate college working with a very large consulting firm called Accenture. And it was mostly corporate consulting, and I was doing a lot of analytics work with them, a lot of big implementations and stuff like that. After a couple years with them, I branched off onto my own, just because, I struggle to work for other people, I guess, but branched off on my own as a consultant, did that for a while, about 4 years. And then last year, things just really started picking up. Decided that I didn't want to just sell my time anymore, and I wanted to scale it. So I opened up an agency, Webris, and it's been doing that for about a year now. Things have been going very well. So I've kind of always been into this game since I first started working.
I've been looking at a lot of your content on the Webris blog, and I also found you on the Ahrefs blog as well. So advise everyone to go and have a look at those, but we'll put some links to those later on. But as far as today's topic, link building, we're just going to jump into a sort of checklist of all the white hat link building methods we should be using in 2016, as many as we can fit into the show. So I'm just going to throw some techniques out there from a list I've got here. And if, Ryan, you could give me your take on each one, let me know if you think it's still going to be effective going forward, and share some quick pointers on how to do each one. And sure. As I said, there'll be resources below this on the Content Champion blog in the show notes, so you can go and get more information. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Guest blogging, or guest posting as some people call it. A spammy approach is ruining this, or does it still work?
Well, marketers in general tend to ruin everything just because whenever we find something that works, we beat it into the ground. But it's gotten spammed out for sure. But, honestly, we would not be having this conversation if I wasn't guest posting and guest posting aggressively. We do a lot of outsourced link building for a lot of big agencies and also for a lot of big clients. And 80% of the links that we build are guest posting links. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, right? The wrong way is crappy content, just bad outreach, just bad targeting. The right way to approach guest posting is try to remove links from the situation, right? If you were to write for a blog, would you still do it if they wouldn't link to your site or if they no-followed the link? And if the answer is yes, then it's an absolutely amazing opportunity and you need to do it. And I think if you approach guest posting that way, granted, not every opportunity is going to be a Forbes or a Moz, whatever that may be. But if you approach it from the point of view of, I'm going to do this as a PR play. I'm going to do this as an exposure play to cross-pollinate audiences, to get my voice out there, to reach new people, to say I've been on Ahrefs or Moz, Search Engine Journal, is a branding play, right? I mean, you just brought it up yourself. So, and if you can kind of get into that mindset of doing this for your own brand and not at scale for clients we're talking about, but for your own company or brand, whatever, guest posting is by far the most effective way to build links. And honestly, it's the most effective way to really growth hack anything. If you look at any company, if you look at Buffer, any company that's really shot up in the last couple of years, really, and really paid attention to what they're doing and listened to what their marketing team has been saying, it's guest posting. The CEO of Buffer openly talks about how he would write like 3 guest posts a day, and that's all he did. And Buffer just exploded, So if you can write, or if you have a good writer on staff or whatever that may be, then yeah, guest posting is still, and I truly believe it will always be, one of my best marketing tactics. Even if and when links are devalued, I'm still going to guest post for the branding play, for the PR play, for all the other things. So, and again, I mean, the key to doing it the right way is just making sure that, number one, you're targeting niche relevant blogs. You know, if you have an SEO agency, don't go guest posting on a food blog. It's just a waste of your time and it's spammy. So don't do that. Number two, make sure that you are creating good content, because, you know, a lot of people will try and go on Fiverr or iWriter or some crappy site and get, you know, just really bad content and submit it. It's a waste of your time for a number of reasons. Number one, any decent blog is not going to take it. And you'll have wasted time and resources getting that created. Number two, nobody's going to read it. And these links really start having an impact when the content that you're creating is getting shares, it's getting linked to, because then your links within that content become 100 times more powerful, right? Because if you can get a link from a powerful piece of content, we all know that it's far more effective than getting a link from a page that's just stranded on somebody's blog that has no engagement or authority. So it's much better to guest post for authority, you know, target 10 sites and do it over like a 3-month period, than to do like, you know, 1,000 guest posts on just random little sites. So attention to quality is huge. And again, I mean, it's not just about the links. It opens up doors far above links and link building that is just really good for the brand in general.
A couple of things come out of that. Big shout out to Kevin Lee at the Buffer blog, who's just producing some amazing stuff. Secondly, you mentioned it there as well, brand mentions, branding. The algorithm's obviously moving on as well. How much does that play into guest blogging? If you just get a mention on a big site that's relevant, that can move the needle even without the backlink, can't it?
You know, I don't personally, I don't speak on things that I don't have any data to support that. I've read that on a lot of blogs, but the problem with SEO is that there's just a lot of speculation. I've heard that things like that, like co-citation and co-mentions, but they can, you know, that they can have an impact. But, you know, the fact of the matter is that I don't know of anything in the algorithm that's associating a branded mention without a link, because search engines crawl links. So I've heard that before. And again, you know, if you try and think bigger than that, because SEO is just a marketing tactic, right? I mean, when you're building a business, you should always be thinking bigger and what it means to the big picture. Yeah, I mean, it's really PR, right? And I'm a firm believer that PR of today is it's bloggers, right? Bloggers have more clout, blogs get more views, and blogs have more SEO value. So, you know, even if you're getting an unlinked mention, it's still, if it's on a high visibility blog, you're still getting the PR aspect of that, which is visibility, it's awareness. But, you know, in order to have, in my opinion, in order to have any sort of SEO impact, you've got to get the link. I mean, but the thing is that if you're getting a mention, it's easy to get a link, because, and actually unlinked mentions are one of the easiest way to get links, because all you have to do is they already know who you are. They're already talking about you. Just find whoever wrote it and just send them an email and be like, hey, dude, you know, I really appreciate you, you know, talking about our brand. Would you mind just linking for attribution purposes, right? So it's really easy to do that. So if you're getting links, I mean, if you're getting mentioned, sorry, it's really easy to turn. It's the easiest way to turn into links. That's why link building is so easy for brands, because everybody's talking about Best Buy. All you have to do is implement some social listening through like a Google Alerts or, you know, like a mention or a BuzzSumo, something like that. And that's why brands can build so many links, because people are always talking about them. The hard part is getting people to talk about you, which is why guest posting is so effective, because you're growth hacking that process, right? I mean, like Moz is not just going to start talking about you, but they give you open access to publish there and talk about yourself. So that's why it's really so powerful, because you know, you're effectively cutting out PR and you're just growth hacking that process by just creating the content yourself. And you also have full control over the content, which is why it's so awesome. You know, I saw a massive increase I wrote a post for Moz in October, and because of that post, it went viral. And because of that post, you know, we pretty much doubled our revenue that month. That's how effective guest posting can be. Not every guest post does, but I mean, the one on Ahrefs too, I mean, like all you have to do is connect, like those are very high visibility blogs. You're just going up there and beating your chest, being like, hey, look at me. You know, I'm an expert. Look at all that I can do.
Okay, citations, we mentioned them already. Citations with links for local firms. These work, don't they?
Yeah, we don't do a whole lot of local SEO anymore, but when we do, we'll do like franchise SEO, right? So if you have, it's just not in our model anymore to take on, like your local bakery. Used to do it, but and since we've done that, admittedly, the local algorithm has gotten really difficult. It's local SEO has gotten almost as hard as like national SEO because it's really a different type of SEO. We'll do a lot of what we call franchise SEO. So for a company with multiple locations, and admittedly, it's a little bit easier because if you have multiple locations, you've got established authority, you've got a domain with authority. It's a lot easier to rank. But we will do local citations. I mean, they're good links, man. And the best way to do that, honestly, it's really hard to not just like pay a vendor to do it. But if you can build out the simple process of just hiring a VA, showing them how to use, search engine operators to just go out and find them manually and then create them, for $100, $150, you can build really, really relevant citations. And they're really good links. I mean, even if they're no follow, because at the end of the day, what they do is they build a presence, right? So if you're a business owner and you're not on Yelp and you're not on like locally, local pages, whatever they are, you're doing yourself a disservice because those are traffic sites and people will find you through them if you're the right niche, right? So they're important, again, thinking bigger than just SEO purposes. They're important for building a business. So, and I firmly believe I know that's where the algorithm is going, especially in local, because local the last year or two really got spammed out hard by marketers because people found out how easy it was to rank for like, local roofer or like Miami-based roofing company. And we're just crushing the algorithm, right? I mean, like how many lead generation people do you know that had like 100 like SEO sites that were just selling leads to local businesses? So they really cracked down on it. And one of the things that they're looking for now is that sense of trust, right? So having all those citations, again, setting links aside, it just shows that you're a real business, right? That's that sense of trust that Google's really looking for. So again, aside from the link value, which some of them, I wouldn't say that they're going to rank your site, but they definitely help out from just kind of an all-encompassing, like just completing the whole algorithm type thing. I don't even really look at citations as a link building effort anymore because like 99% of them are not followed links anyways, but they build that like hyper local activity and they just help to rank for local for sure.
Mm-hmm. And White Spark and Bright Local, they're two solutions I've used. They're great. Okay, let's crack on. We've got a lot to cover. Content exchange for local firms, swapping blog posts. You mentioned this in the Ahrefs post where I found you. You blog on someone's site, they blog on yours. That's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, so we do that for particularly, just to back up 1 second, 90% of our revenue right now is coming from link building. We just do a ton of link building for people because we've really taken out the time to build out the process. So we'll do like guest post exchanges in very, very competitive spaces. They're also tough because your client has to give you full access to their blog, which not every client will do, right? Like, so the attorneys that we work with, we're like very straight up with them that, hey, we're going to be doing guest post exchanges as a link building effort because it's really, really hard to just go out and get real white hat legal links. It's incredibly difficult. You can only guest post on so many blogs in legal, which we'll do a lot of for attorneys, and it will help them build like a authority presence on top legal blogs. But you need links for legal because it's such a competitive space. So, and you also need content because, again, like one of the things that Google's looking for now, which I firmly believe is content depth. And a blog is just an easy way to add, authority and content depth to a website. And you're also, you're crowdsourcing content. It's free. It's really hard to get legal content. It's expensive. So if you can do that for free and double it up as a link building tactic, then yeah. So basically what we'll do for that is we do all of our link prospecting. I have a couple of virtual assistants in the Philippines, and they're very well trained on what a good link looks like and what an opportunity looks like. I'll just have them. Well, we actually have a link database of like over 5,000 bloggers and websites. But we'll dig into that database and we'll say, okay, we're looking for legal blogs that are about, So for example, the attorney that we do this the most with right now, he's an immigration attorney. I cannot go to a DUI attorney and do a guest post exchange because there's a conflict of interest, right? You could, but it's just a little bit harder of a pitch. So what we'll do is we'll look for other attorneys that are not in direct competition with him. So he's an immigration attorney. So we'll go to, like real estate attorneys, anything that's just kind of like one pivot off. And we'll just send them a pitch through Pitchbox, all automated outreach, and just say, hey, my name is so-and-so, a local attorney in Miami. I'm really working on growing my practice. I'm just getting started. I found one of the best ways to do that is through guest posting on other people's blogs. Would you be up for a guest post exchange? And then you throw in the value pitch of, hey, I've got a really good Facebook audience, or hey, I've got an email list, whatever that may be. And you just send them that pitch. And then also what you can say too, which I like to do, because it's not ideal to have just links pointing towards each other, right? So like, one link on one blog and the reciprocal links, it's just not a good look. So what I'll like to do is actually try and push them towards the goal of being like, hey, I know you're busy. Why don't I just write for your blog instead? I'll give you free content. I'll help promote it, blah, blah, blah. The success rate goes down, but you're getting away from that reciprocal link situation, which can get a little bit hairy with Google, right? But if we do a guest post exchange, then I'll just kind of a crappy thing to do, but I'll no follow the link from my client's blog to their blog.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the relevance here, where the link is followed, doesn't necessarily have to be the niche. It can be the fact that they're just local businesses, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all about being creative, right? So it's all about, again, link building is really won and lost in the strategy, which nobody talks about. Most people are just so hyper-focused on tactics, so like, oh, I need to do resource page, I need to do broken link building, blah, blah, blah. But like, and then where people get overwhelmed is they start doing it and they're like, holy shit, sorry. This is a lot of work, right? Like I'm overwhelmed. I'm just going to use PBN links. I'm just going to buy links, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Whereas really link building is won and lost in the upfront strategy. So again, like just getting creative with it. So let's just say, you have a local website about, I don't know, you sell office space, right? You're a Miami based, you sell office space, so it starts with, who is my audience? Who, if I was going to write for my blog, who would be reading it? So you could be like, okay, it's business owners, it's attorneys, it's entrepreneurs, right? So these are all massive online niches that you can then say, okay, like what are the blogs that are talking to entrepreneurs? What are the blogs that are talking to business people, to marketers, to attorneys? And then you start from there, and then you can start to niche down and say, okay, like if I want to get on a blog about entrepreneurs, like what value do I have to add to them? And that's where you can start either creating content on your site for them. So it could be like a, top list of the best co-working or like the best places to open a business in Miami, right? That's a piece of content on your site that you could then potentially pitch as link bait to somebody else. Or you can just go to them and then just format your pitch based on that. So if you want to do a guest post exchange for all those different verticals, you just change your pitch based on the vertical. So if you're talking to entrepreneurs, it can be like, you just play on the value exchange, right? So you play on the fact that, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, like let's work together. Or it could be like if you're pitching an attorney and you own an office space, you could be like, hey, I can talk about the real estate legal implications. I don't know, something like that, right? Whatever that may be. So there's a million different ways that you can relate to these people. But like where a lot of people go wrong with guest post pitching again is that they just want to get lazy with it and send out a blanket pitch. It just doesn't work that way. Like you don't have to personalize based on name. Like it doesn't really matter, but you have to personalize based on the fact that like I get pitched all the time to write for my blog, and it's not so much that it's a canned response pitch. I don't really care about that. It's the fact that they're not bringing any value to me, right? So, and it's really easy to add value to people when you base them on like what they do, right? So if you're just speaking to all attorneys, you can use the same pitch. So just go out, have your link prospect to find 100 attorneys, and have your link prospect to go out and find 100 blogs about entrepreneurship, right? And then you can just send all canned response pitches to all those people based on group, like their name really isn't even important. So sorry, I'm talking a lot today. I just had some coffee, but
that's great. That's good. Because of the time difference, I'm in the evening, you're in the afternoon. Yeah. Normally about 2:00 your time. I've had about 4 coffees and I'm just typing really fast and phone's going. Okay, you mentioned it there. We were talking about reciprocal value. Perhaps the best value added link building technique is broken link building, but it's very time consuming. You've mentioned it already. Is it worth it for the average business to go chasing broken links?
No, it's not. I mean, so It's not, and again, it depends on when you say average business, like I honestly believe that it's really not in anybody's best interest to like really get down into the nitty gritty of like, nobody has time to do broken link building unless you're an agency, right? Unless you specifically know how to do it without spending 10 hours to get one link, then it's really not in anybody's best interest. So, your average business owner, honestly, like they really shouldn't even be involved in anything but guest posting, because it's the easiest to understand. It's the easiest thing to just be like, okay, like I can easily go out myself if you're on a budget and just bootstrap this thing and growth hack link building, right? I can get, 2 links a month from really relevant blogs for the next year. That's 24 links. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty much going to rank almost any local site. It's going to take a long time, but you can do it yourself. So it's really not in anybody's best interest to do broken link building unless you're in a very competitive space and you know exactly what you're doing, because it can be incredibly time consuming. Like even us internally, when we do link building, we've built out the process and we've hacked that process and we've automated a lot of it. It doesn't take us very long to do broken link. We can set up and pitch 100 broken links within a couple of hours, but we know exactly what we're doing, right? But at the same time, we're going to charge you a lot to do broken link building, because if you do it, then it's going to take you forever. So it's you touched on it. Broken link building is a great tactic because link building is all about the exchange of value. It's all about the exchange of value. We all know what your value proposition is, right? Like we want to get a link, but how can we add enough value to that person to get them to either go back into their website to make a change, which is a pain in the ass, let's be honest. And that value exchange of broken link building is, hey, your site's not working. I'm helping you identify exactly where it is. Oh, by the way, here's something that instead of you searching around for it or deleting and disrupting your content, here's the perfect link to replace it with. That's a good value pitch, right? I mean, you're helping somebody out. You're telling them exactly where it is, the exact anchor text. And then, oh, by the way, you can literally just swap out that dead link with this one. So that's why broken link building can work very good. You can have a much higher success rate with it. But again, it's very time consuming to find those opportunities, to bucket them by pitch, and even to send those pitches. It's a tough pitch to automate because you do have to change a lot of things in it. But again, that's something that we know how to do. We know how to automate that process. But if you're just a normal business owner, it's not just in terms of, again, thinking bigger than the marketing tactic of SEO. If you're a business owner, it's not in your best interest to be getting that deep down into the weeds with link building. Right? You have bigger things to be focusing on. You've got a staff to run. You've got bills to pay. I mean, there's bigger things for you to worry about, unless you're a marketer, of course. If you run a marketing agency and that's what you want to do, that's great. But me as a business owner, I don't have time to do broken link building for my site. I would love to, but it's not the best use of my time. So just from a standard business owner's point of view, like the time that it would take you to even learn what broken link building is and how to do it, it's not even remotely worth it in your time.
Okay. I had a funny one this week. Someone approached me and told me about a broken link on a page and didn't even ask for a link back or suggest anything to put in its place. And I just thought, come on, what are you doing? If you're just going around people's sites and say, I'm trying to be helpful finding broken links, you're obviously finding them. So you kind of probably need to read up on what to do next. But anyway, moving on. Skyscraper technique. Sure. One of my favorites. I guess this fits in with the guest blogging because it's kind of 80-20. It fits in nicely. 80% perhaps doing a guest posting on other people's sites. 20%, like Brian Dean, just build that massive all-conquering resource to win the content arms race on your own site, and then approach people who've shared content, linked to content like that before, and say, hey, I've just bettered it. It's the best resource of its type.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, I'm a huge Brian Dean fan. He really was probably like the ultimate pioneer for like kind of ahead of his time, right? I mean, he was talking about these tactics that we're talking about now years ago. He's positioned himself really well because I firmly believe with this next algo about to drop in a few weeks, that it's really going to change the state of link building. Like everybody's already starting to push more into outreach, right? Like this time last year, people were talking a lot about like PBNs and this and that. Now a lot of even like the gray hat, black hat marketers are starting to create content because they know like it's not about, it's about the quality of links, right? It's about the relevancy of links and getting links on real sites. And people are starting to realize like, hey, this is actually a lot less work than managing or buying links because we can build this process internally to do it. So huge fan of Brian Dean. That was a little side note, but I don't see a lot of success with the skyscraper method. And here's why, because just kind of like you said, like I put everything in the perspective of me, right? What is going to, if you want to link on my site, I take a tremendous amount of pride in my website. Just because you create a website, you create a piece of content and you did a little research on what I'm sharing, you're not going to get a link, dude. You're wasting your time. You know what I mean? So I kind of take a step back and I think for myself, you know, what would drive somebody to get me to link to them? And that's helping me fix a broken link with a great replacement. I have a resource page. If you've got a really good resource, then yeah, I'll add it there if you hit me with the right pitch. And guest posting, right? I've done, and link roundups too. If I was doing link roundups, are another great technique that I use. I just wrote a blog post about it. But so with what he's doing now, I think it's a little bit played out because that's the problem with marketing, right? Is that once it kind of goes viral, everyone starts doing it and it just doesn't work as well anymore. Like infographics, right? Infographics, he wrote about a great post on his blog about infographics outreach. You know, infographics suck, man. Like, I don't like reading infographics. I think they're annoying. They don't provide me much value. So I don't undertake that tactic. That's nothing against Brian Dean. He's brilliant, but you know, and he also came up with the skyscraper technique in fairness years ago, right? And people are just kind of starting to implement it now. So I don't see a lot of value in it. What I do see a lot of value in is using content as a link building tool, right? So very similar to the skyscraper technique, but again, I'm a much more, I'm not going to go and find something that already worked for somebody else and replicate it. I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to create something of so much value that nobody's ever seen before that it becomes a no-brainer to link to me, right? Because again, reverse engineering why people link. I link to people because I know it's going to provide value to my audience. And that's something that I take pretty seriously, right? So if I'm going to link to something, it's got to be incredibly insightful, incredibly valuable. If I'm going to even share it on social media, again, it's got to be something that I can share with my audience and be like, hey guys, look what I found, right? That's really what drives people to share. So if somebody like wrote, an article that was like the double skyscraper technique, right? Like I'd be like, come on, dude, this is played out. Like you're just ripping somebody's idea. And the skyscraper technique, basically what it does for anybody that doesn't know, it goes out and it finds a really well-performing piece of content in a certain space. And it just kind of one-ups it, right? It makes it a little bit better. And again, I hate one-uppers, right? It's like when you're telling a story and then somebody comes in, they're like, oh, by the way, yeah, like I did this. And it's like, dude, shut up. You know what I mean? It's annoying. So I don't leverage that technique. I would rather, I'm a huge proponent of content, obviously, but I prefer to create content that is so uniquely valuable that when you're doing outreach, people are genuinely interested in it. And, so as opposed to being like, oh, hey, I saw you link to this one, I just did a better post of it. Do you want to link here? It's not as valuable as a pitch of, hey, this is something that really can help your audience double their link building output within a month. So you can check it out here, right? It's just it's a little bbit of a different approach, but that's not to undermine again what he's done. He's done an incredible job, but I think that tactic is a little played out now. And again, I always put in perspective of me and what would drive me to action. And, that's not going to get me to link to you.
You're listening to the Content Champion Podcast, showcasing the best content marketing strategies across the web.
We're back with Ryan Stewart.
Let's pivot into social media. You mentioned it earlier as well. Perhaps you could tell us about the SEO effect of sharing content multiple times on social media, using emphasis within content on the page, like click to tweet buttons and shareables and tweetables and things like this. How does this all come into play to help with our SEO?
Sure. That's a great question. I think that's something that a lot of people would like to know. And again, I cannot speak on the fact that getting shares on social media will increase your rankings because I don't have the data to show that. My content gets shared nonstop and my content ranks well, but it's also really good content. It's well written. It's unique. It's got, really good keyword research and it gets links. So it's hard for me to isolate the fact that, hey, my content is ranking because I'm getting social shares, right? But again, taking one step back and thinking larger than just SEO. And this is what I think a lot of marketers fail to do, is they look at social in the scope of SEO, right? And link building in the scope of SEO, and content creation in the scope of SEO. In the grand scheme of things, SEO is not anywhere nearly as powerful as people think it is. I can tell you that firsthand because I rank for a ton of terms. If you Google Miami SEO, you're going to see me right there. And I have never once landed one single client from that keyword. You can Google best Miami SEO company and you'll see us there. Never once landed one client from that, ever. Because it doesn't really matter. Like, the web is such a big place, and there's so many touch points with what goes into conversions. It's not just about like, hey, let me I have a website that sells brown boots. If we just rank for brown boots, we're automation, right? We're on autopilot. We're just going to rank and bank. That's not the way it works, man. Like, there's so many things that goes into it. And that's why I always tell people, like, it's not about SEO is a tactic to help you better your business. It's not going to build your business, right? And looking at social media from the scope of, oh, hey, let me go out and buy some retweets or buy some social shares or try and do this. Like, you're not only wasting your time and money, because there's no proven fact that social media has any sort of impact on rankings, regardless of what blogs you read. Until I see Google come out with something that says, hey, yeah, like links, social media matters, then I'll agree with that. But again, bigger than SEO, social media is just so important from a business point of view. Like, why would you try and shortchange that, right? So, I've actually landed a lot of clients from social media and not from SEO, right? But I do SEO services, kind of ironic. So the value that I see in SEO and adding those click to tweet pages, it's a discovery purpose, right? I mean, content is really the top of the funnel type traffic. It's discovery traffic. It can also be conversion traffic too, right? Because if you write something really good and, people want to work with you because of that. But for the most part, it's how to get people like before your funnel, right? Because there's so many touch points and so many different places that you need to have success with online, and yeah, it's great to have success with search engines, but like, don't bank on building a business just because you rank for a keyword. Like, you need to be on social. You need to be creating content, all of these things. You should be building a community, an email list, something, right? Something that you should be building. So it's like, I focus on social media because it's incredibly important for everything. It's from an SEO point of view, I can't speak on that. I don't know if it ranks. It probably helps, sure. But again, I don't have the data to support that. What I know ranks websites is you build something that's of incredible value to your audience, and then you just go out and promote it. You do it through social, you do it through outreach, you do it through a bunch of different stuff, and then it'll rank. I can't tell you the exact things that make it rank, but I know that process works, so I follow that, right? So again, it's tough for me to say like Twitter ranks websites, Google Plus ranks websites. Does it help? I think so. I don't know, but again, I push my content through social because it's an incredibly powerful channel that too many SEOs just look at as a ranking factor and not as, again, like, we're building businesses here. We're not building rankings, right? So thinking bigger picture and thinking about your brand and thinking about, where you want to be in 5 years, not after the next algorithm update. It's bigger than SEO. Do you know what I mean?
Having said that, though, I've just typed in best Miami SEO company and you're number one. There we are. And that's a data set, google.com from the UK. So that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. But
and you're beating out this Miami SEO company.
Yeah.
They must be your direct competitor there. That's very interesting.
Yeah, they're great dudes. I actually know them personally. Great dudes, good SEOs. I take pride in the fact that they've been around forever, right? And they've got the EMD going on, and I brushed my shoulders off, hacked it in like 6 months, got that ranking up there. But again, I didn't necessarily try and I didn't start my website with a goal, which a lot of people do, right? They're like, I want to rank for Miami SEO company. I built my website around the fact that we are a Miami-based SEO company. And then I focused on other things. And, that ranking came because I did a really good job of marketing the website. But more than anything, honestly, it's a branding point, because when I'm talking to a client or a prospect and they're like, what's different between you and this company? I'm like, just go Google the best company, SEO company in Miami. It's more of a branding thinking than anything. But I don't land any clients from it, partially because Miami is a tough city to run a business in, but also because it's just not, it's not like selling, I don't know, like real estate, which is different, right? It's just a different market. So.
Okay, well, let's look at, you mentioned them already earlier in the show. You talked about your Share Team blogger database.
Yeah.
This is just straight blogger outreach, isn't it? Obviously, you've got to offer some value. I'm going to mix in another one I got on this list here as well with link outreach as well. These two kind of go hand in hand. You've got 5,000 people in this database. What you just reach out on a niche specific basis, offer them value for that link. Does anyone ever ask you for more than that? Because obviously, yeah, all the time. You know what I'm getting at. I don't really want to go there, but is it getting to the point where you're doing link outreach and 9 out of 10 people are saying basically you have to pay for that?
It depends on the niche. So quick plug here. I have a link building training that again, more than anything, link building is a process. It's less about understanding the tactic of the skyscraper technique. And it's more about positioning either you, yourself, or your team to approach link building the right way, link outreach the right way. So I have a training, just a short plug, that breaks down every single process. And literally you can just take it and hand it over to your team. They'll watch the videos and you're an outreach expert, right? So with that being said, within that, I'm a very process-driven person. I like to build a process, test it, find out where its weaknesses are, look for places that I can either outsource overseas that are, so not critical thinking parts, but I built the process and I was like, okay, part one, we need to build a strategy, right? We need to understand what this client site is and who would link to them. We do that internally in-house. Part two, we need to find the opportunities. I push that to the Philippines. So I have 3 people in the Philippines that all they do is they build, it's just a Google Sheets file. I've built it. So it's link niche, link type, website, contact, name, a bunch of different header fields that they then go and they use search operators. They go through Twitter and they look for opportunities, right? So part of our project plan will be like, okay, today guys, you're going to go out and you look for finance sites that accept guest posts. So they go through and they just find it and they find all these sites, they build it out. And then, so while they're doing that, we have a client come on or we're working with a client and, we're like, okay, we need to, let's go out today and let's pitch mommy bloggers for sponsored posts, right? Or for whatever pitch type we're doing. It could just be like blogger outreach. It could be whatever that may be. And we use Pitchbox. So I just take those, I copy and paste it out of the Google Sheets file, dump it into a CSV file. I upload it to Pitchbox, and we send all of our pitches out based on niche. And it's pretty much automated, right? So from what we're doing over here, it's very minimal. It's very minimal work, actually. The majority of the work is done in the first 2 hours of signing that client and understanding what they need. And then my people in the Philippines, they do all the legwork. And again, then we use tools to automate. So just to circle back, we built that process. I said, look, we need to build a strategy. We need to find opportunities. We need to pitch them. We need to get content written. We need to get that content live, and we need to track it. So when you've got that all built into silos, you get some people that can work the process. Then you look at it and you find the inefficiencies and you understand what you can push out to somebody for a low cost and what you can use tools to automate. So I forget what the original question was now. I just kind of went off on a side tangent. But
well, no, that's good. You're talking about business building as well and the whole wider strategic context of it. And I just wanted to touch on community building as well, because that feeds into that. You've got your Reddits, your Quoras, your Facebook groups, your Inbound, all those types of platforms. I guess if strategically those align with your business goals, they could be a good source to get some direct links back and some mentions and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, and again, so I used to do a lot of work on Quora when I had time. When I was first getting started building this agency a year ago, I was able to spend, I firmly understood. I said, I'm not going to pay for traffic because I'm bootstrapping this thing. If I'm going to build an agency, I had the existing clients from consulting. I just kind of migrated them over. And I used that revenue not for marketing and advertising, but to build a team, because I value people over anything, right? Because if I have the right people in place, it allows me to focus on growing the business, which I firmly, as owner, that's my job and my job only. It's my job to build this business, nobody else's. And being partially arrogant and partially just a good marketer, I knew how to build that, and it was through content and community, right? And one of the things that I did was I started building content on our blog, and just going out and promoting it everywhere possible, but doing it the right way, right? So Quora was a big place. Last year, I think I just looked at our analytics last year, we did like over 15,000 visits from Quora, 15,000 visits from Quora. So
wow.
Yeah, we crushed Quora for a while. I had like a growth hack that kind of a gray hat tactic. It stopped working, where I would write a really good response and then I would pay for upvotes. That stopped working, unfortunately. So I was finding like really big, I have a blog post actually about this. I was finding really, really big and popular threads, just in the space. So it would be like, how to do SEO. And I would search Quora for these. I would build a spreadsheet with the exact thread, and then I would go through and write the responses, and then I would post them, and then I would just, take those URLs and buy upvotes on Fiverr, and it crushed it for a while. It was awesome. That stopped working. So, but anyways, and then Reddit, same thing, finding those threads, Facebook groups, same thing. And again, just like building a presence and being able to go into those groups and provide value and position yourself as an expert without dropping links is incredibly hard to do. It takes a lot of patience, but if you can get, and again, I think where a lot of business owners go wrong is they look at a group of marketers and say, I don't sell the marketers, I'm not going to waste my time here. But really, your peers are going to be the people that, number one, the most likely to link to you, right? So from a link acquisition point of view, building yourself as authority within your space is incredibly important. Number two, they're going to be your most popular promoters of content too, right? And number three, building relationships with these people. We do over 50% of our revenue from other agencies. So, taking the time to build yourself as an expert within your space. And that doesn't come from getting like a local business owner because they don't care about marketers, right? Like a local business owner that sells muffins doesn't care about SEO, but understanding that within your space, whatever it is that you do, there's a group of very passionate people. And if you can catapult yourself or even put yourself in the conversation of it as an expert, it's so powerful, so powerful. So I spent a lot of time in Facebook groups, just random Facebook groups that I found about marketing, about SEO, providing value, right? And it's hard at first because people are very fickle online. And if you're a nobody, then people will just kind of talk smack. That's what they do. But if you do good work and you do good work and you go in there and somebody's asking a question, answer it. Somebody's, looking for help them. Over time, what happens is you build authority, you build trust. Then I started networking with the owners of the groups. To this day, I'm really good friends with them. And I now have my own Facebook group that's about to hit 4,000 people. I just wrote a guest post on Moz about that Facebook group. So I'm building the hell out of that Facebook group. And again, you sit on top of that group, that community of 4,000 marketers, and they look at you as I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody in that group by any means, but because I own that group, by default, they look at you as an expert, right? So community is so important. It's just like building an email list, same thing, right? It's so important that, again, so many people overlook because they're just so focused on top line sales, which I get it. At the end of the day, that's what I'm here to do is sell more contracts, but it's a process, man. Like when you're doing B2B marketing, there's no overnight solution. There's really not, It's the same thing as doing it offline. Building relationships offline takes, if anyone's ever worked in sales, you know how long that takes. There's no shortcut. But once you put in the time and, you dedicate yourself to getting better and being a part of this craft, I will never, and I don't have to ever pick up the phone and call someone. People come to me to do work. And I'm at the point now where, because I spent the last year busting my ass providing value to people, that I'm at a point now where I can pre-qualify the hell out of people and I can turn people down because I work with who I want to work with now, because I've established myself as, an expert. I'm not like a Neil Patel expert, but I've done a good job building like micro communities, right? And these are all things that when it comes to selling stuff, like if you come to me and you're like, oh, hey, I found you through Google, this and that, a big part of my sales pitch and qualification process is really running them through everything that I have to offer, right? I'll show them the communities that I have. I'll show them all this stuff, and it's selling without selling, right? It's indirectly selling. It's building authority. So that way, when I hit them with the price tag quote for what it is, they're not, I can justify charging 10 times as much as the other company down the road because they haven't taken the time to do that, right? Just because they have a website that ranks in Google, that's all they got. But when you have all these other things, you've got social following, you've got, you've written at Moz, you've written at Ahrefs. And again, these are things that anybody can do. Anybody can do. All I did was send an email to Tim Solo at Ahrefs. So I was like, hey, can I write for you? And he was like, yeah, send me a pitch. That's all you have to do. I'm not a better marketer than anybody else. I just took the time to do it.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that comes out of all this, isn't it? You've got your overarching strategy, which stays the same. You've got your business goals, and these tactics will come and go, whether you call it SEO, content marketing, social media. You just pick the right ones that work at any given time, given what you want to achieve. And really, yeah, some of those tactics do work in a more evergreen way than others. So really the advice would be, coming out of this, is do some guest blogging and just go and get on with it.
Like I said, we wouldn't be having this conversation if I wasn't guest posting.
Okay, can you remind us then, you mentioned it earlier on, your course. Can you remind us where we can find that? Because you've been really helpful and you've given us loads of your time. And also tell us where we can connect with you online and everything you're doing as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So the training course, I haven't even officially launched it yet. It's kind of been in soft launch just to get some people that I knew wanted to do it, get some feedback. But it's at training.webris.org. And there's a free trial to it. You can check it out. If you don't want to pay for anything, I give away so much information for free on our blog. That's Webris.org/blog. You can find me on Twitter at Ryan Was Here. In my Facebook group, which is really, really awesome. It's Digital Marketing Help. So you can find me anywhere. I'm on YouTube. I do a lot of video marketing. I try and be everywhere. So I'm not a hard person to find.
Wait for it, listeners. Here comes the PS question.
We've already looked at loads of off-site link building methods. Could you just share one advanced on-page SEO technique that we can use right after the show, please?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it, but I'm really big on content depth right now. And what I mean by that is, again, going back to the attorney example, if you're an attorney and you operate or anything in a competitive space, Google just loves authority sites. And authority doesn't just come from links or off-page activity. It comes from flexing your muscles and showing your knowledge on page. So, one of the things that we're working with a lot of clients now is just building out really, really content-rich sites. And again, it doesn't have to be a blog. Building out resources, building out on-site wikis, right? So, for example, for this attorney that we're working with, the immigration law, whenever you're talking about stuff that people don't know about, there's things called an L1 visa. There's all these different visas that people will stick on a page for on-page SEO. But I'm a firm believer that if, you can either link out to an authority site about it, or you can create a page on your site that talks about what an L1 visa is and link to it internally, right? So building out these resources within your site, anytime there's anything on your site that people might be like, what's this? Or it's very competitive about, build content depth, right? So when I say depth, again, I mean, if you have, instead of just having your 5-page standard local site, build it into a deep site. So every one of your services you can talk more about, you should be able to talk more about. And there's probably even sub niches within that service, right? So if you're a online advertising agency and you've got your, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, Instagram ads, right? You can break those down into sub-services of that too, that people are probably, and so you're catching all these long tails too, because a page that's all about Facebook remarketing or Facebook mobile ads is going to rank better than just a page about, social media advertising, right? So it's really important to build out depth of content. It's really hard to do because it's so much work. So a lot of people don't end up doing it. But the biggest tip for on page, it's just depth. So it's finding ways to dedicate an entire page to one specific topic. So again, using the Facebook ads, instead of just having we offer social media advertising services, it could be, social media advertising /Facebook /Instagram /Snapchat, whatever it may be. And then even digging into those even more if you wanted to, right? So again, Facebook ads is going to rank better than social media ads, and Facebook remarketing ads, which I'm sure business owners are searching for because they hear about it and they're like, oh, I want to know about, I want to hire someone just to do Facebook remarketing, because that's what clients do, right? They come to you and they're like, I've heard about Facebook remarketing or Facebook mobile ads. How can I do that, right? So just understanding what people are coming to you asking about more, you should have that on your site. So building out that depth and that library of content on your site will help you to rank a lot better.
Well, look, that's a fantastic answer. I really appreciate your time today, giving us loads of value here, a great conversation. And all that remains to say is, Ryan, thank you very much. And I wish you the best of luck with everything in future.
I appreciate you having me.
You've been listening to the Content Champion podcast, available at contentchampion.com, Stitcher, Zune, the BlackBerry Network, and on iTunes. Until next time, thanks for listening.